Hey everybody, it's John Hope Bryant, founder, chairman, and chief executive officer of Operation Hope, coming to you from my Atlanta office, talking to you about the civil rights movement. I'm the founder, chairman, and chief executive officer of Operation Hope, which is America's first and largest financial services network for the poor, the struggling class, the working class, the teetering class, those folks with too much month at the end of their money. People like you and me. Hey, Mark Lath and Yolanda Frazier joining in. Yeah, Yolanda says it got you live. Hey, Lewis. I'm going to acknowledge some of you signing in, and then when we get a critical mass, I'm going to drop the mic and start strolling through this conversation because it's an important one. Hello, Marvin from St. Louis, Catrice Clay, Brandon James. I do this intentionally so you know I'm live, by the way. It's not taped. Kimberly Stewart, hello. Quentin Trotter, looking forward to this talk. Myra K. This call was actually inspired by you. You asked me to do it, and so I said yes. Elaine from Texas here. Marcus from Phoenix. Bradley, hello. So people asked for this topic, inner city communities and its value and how, and in my opinion on it. And so I'm responding to your inquiry through the Facebook Live series. So you know I'm listening. Joanne Carter, Quentin Trotter, hey, Brittany Hinton, Ernest French, Daily Inspiration, hey, Tara Dennis, former employee now in Houston, George Gibson from Los Angeles, Brian Barron from Seattle, Joelle Goulet from Gary, Indiana, yay, George Hodge from Florida, Frederick Snyder. Okay, so let's jump into this. Wendell, hello. So, by the way, water. You can never drink enough water. Okay, so we're just under, by the way, 15 million views for this series. So thank you very much for your support of something that's focused on making smart sexy. We've been making dumb sexy for too long. We've dumbed down and celebrated it in this country. And now we have to make smart sexy again. Can I get an amen? We've been making dumb sexy. Quincy Jones, one of my mentors, says it takes 20 years to change a culture. I would argue in the last 20 years we've made dumb sexy. We've dumbed down and celebrated it. And now we have to make smart sexy again. And with all that's going on reality TV and a lot of these crazy videos and whatever, where people are just basically embarrassing themselves on national television and making a whole race of people or races of people or even humanity look bad. Whether you're white, there's reason to be embarrassed. If you're black, there's reasons to be embarrassed. You're Latino, you're Asian, and Indian, wherever you are in the world, there's reason to be embarrassed. Some fool tearing up their reputation and your reputation with them by association on national TV or the internet, doing something completely stupid and adding no value and calling it entertainment. And I think we've gone way beyond entertainment to lunacy, stupidity, the death of cool, the death of positivity, the death of truth, the death of honesty, the death of integrity, the death of positive aspiration. And now we've gotten in the business of selling what's negative versus selling what's positive. We become experts in what we are against, not what we are for. And we are now celebrating the darkness versus celebrating the light. And let me tell you something. God created this world for light. So the light defines the darkness. That badness is failed goodness. Hello. That Lucifer is a punk. He's a fallen angel, which means even God gave that punk permission to exist. Which means that fear that is overtaking your life is irrelevant. It's something you just simply need to eradicate from your brain. Store faith and confidence back in your soul. And by the way, faith is what you do when you don't have all the facts. A lot of what I'm talking about in this series is really about faith and coming back home to yourself. That's what Operation Hope's mission is reintroducing you back to yourself. Boom. And giving you the confidence and the roots to go deep in your life, to spread the tentacles deep in your life, to find the strength, not showboating out public, but really rooting your life underneath where people can't see it, but in a way that makes you stronger than anything that you can see. So when a wind comes along, it doesn't blow you away. Or when some popular thing comes along that's not in your best interest, it doesn't get you off track. Because leadership is a lonely road, ladies and gentlemen. And loss creates leaders, and rainbows only follow storms. And I'd rather you like me, I'd rather you respect me and learn to like me than like me and never respect me. So this Straight Talk Civil Rights series is unbought, unbossed, unbiased. It's nonpartisan, coming to you straight and no chaser. I'm the chairman and CEO of Operation Hope and Bryan Group Ventures, author of several books, including Love Leadership, How the Poor Can Save Capitalism, and Banking on Our Future, and soon the memo. And so let me drop a memo right now. Inner city real estate. Only in America are we dumb enough as a country and backwards enough, because we were in the 50s and the 60s afraid of, uncomfortable with black people and minorities, to move out of centrally located real estate because minorities were there, right? And to move 2 hours outside of town. And that's essentially what happened. Let me just say the inner city real estate is gold, right? It is gold. You want a hedge fund against poverty? Buy some inner city real estate anywhere in a major inner city and wait for 10 or 20 years and watch as that's your trust fund for your children. That's your retirement fund for you. But I don't want you to believe my opinion. I'm going to give you facts to undergird what I'm saying. So some of you saw the note I put up about Janae Roscoe, one of my employees, whose family bought a property in Washington, D.C. For $18,000, I think the number was. She grew up in the house. Somebody sold the house for $1 million. Nothing changed, didn't fix it up. No, just the market met her family where they were, right? But what would happen? They just kept it, right? And just paid off the mortgage. That you could take a mortgage out and send your kid to college. Take a small mortgage out and start a small business, and then pay the mortgage down again. But whatever you got to hit, and then you can use that house as a write-off on a go-forward basis. But you always know you have an asset that you can pass down from generation to generation. We used to own land back in the day. In the agrarian age, we owned land. Well, most people own land, but we have given that away. And this whole thing about is Trinity to rent. Look, if you have to rent, I'm not. It's all good. In fact, I'm a landlord, so I love people who rent, right? But as a stakeholder, I'm encouraging you to own. And so in a place called Europe, in a place called France, they call an inner city Paris. Okay? In a place called the United Kingdom, Britain, they call it inner city London. Okay? You starting to get the memo that inner cities are centrally located real estate. So only in America, in Paris, in France, they put the poor people in the suburbs. In the United Kingdom, they put the poor people in the suburbs. In any nation in the world where you see prosperity, outside of America, the best real estate is the inner city real estate. They put the poor people in the suburbs, make them catch the bus, the train, sit in traffic. Only lunacy in America, because we were concerned with race and uncomfortable with other people who were different from us, put inner cities put black people and brown people in inner cities. And so in Compton, California, we had 2 presidents and 1 governor who lived in Compton, California. So I lived in Compton, California, but 15 years before I lived there, President George W. Bush lived there. And his son, President George H.W. Bush, lived in Compton. His son, President George W. Bush, and his son, Jeb Bush, a governor, as they were growing up, lived in Compton because it was a feeder to Long Beach, California, which is where the military was, and the father was in the military. So this was a bedroom community. This was a middle-class neighborhood. Ferguson, Missouri was a middle-class neighborhood. Had a high level of education, mainstream, so on and so forth, in the 60s and the 70s. But again, folks with the memo moved out, and folks without the memo, good people, salt-of-the-earth people, nothing wrong with the folks who moved in, except they didn't have the memo on money, they didn't have financial literacy, they didn't understand how the economy worked, and as a result of that, they couldn't create jobs, they couldn't create wealth, and the economy slid down, and poverty increased, and crime increased, and the values decreased. So check this out. Detroit is across the street from Canada, okay? It's invaluable. You can buy a piece of Detroit real estate for $1,000. You can go to the Detroit Land Bank and buy a piece of Detroit real estate in poverty for $1,000, $2,000, $4,000. The cost of a crappy vacation to the Caribbean islands can buy you some real estate. And you and your boys or your girlfriends can fix that property up on the weekend, purchase, rehab, and rent. Purchase, rehab, rent, and sale, all right, and create asset wealth for yourself, but they aren't growing any more land in America. Let me now go to a piece of history. New York City, Manhattan. Manhattan was saved when when British assaulted America when America wanted its independence. The George Washington and Alexander Hamilton, first president and the Secretary of the Treasury, ultimately, they were in the military. They pulled back. They were being driven back by the British Army. The place they found cover was Harlem Heights. The place they found strategic cover to regain their strength and reassault the British was Harlem Heights. Harlem Heights, because it was strategically brilliant. We keep giving away our own value. Harlem, by the way, is Upper Manhattan. Hello. You have the Central Park, you have the Upper East Side of Manhattan, Upper West Side of Manhattan, you have Lower Manhattan, you have Central Park, and you have Harlem. Let me come at you another way, okay? White people, white people, white people, black people, okay? I'm not making a racial comment. I'm trying to be funny a little bit. But I'm trying to illustrate something so you get it. Harlem's not a black neighborhood, all right? Harlem is centrally located real estate. And after a while, with increasing wealth and increasing population and finite land, meaning an island, after a while, white folks say black people are not so bad. So you think it's an accident that President Clinton moved to Harlem? He was brilliant. He knew what was going on. You could buy a brownstone in Harlem. Well, 15 years ago, they'd have given the property to you. Just giving it to you. You could have got a teardown in Harlem for $20,000. Now a teardown in Harlem is $750,000. A brownstone in Harlem is $1 million plus in Harlem. Harlem's now cool, ladies and gentlemen. It's cool to be in Harlem. People love of all races being in Harlem. Right here near in Atlanta, near the King Center. That when you see a white kid or an Asian kid on a bicycle with flip-flops and short pants, that's not a tourist. That's a resident, okay? And they are moving in because it's centrally located real estate, because that property is 15 minutes from downtown. You can buy it cheap, beautiful homes, fix it up, and walk, commute, ride a bicycle to work and be back home. And by the way, they're opening shops around there. Don't get mad. Don't know. Celebrate them. Bravo. Congratulations, because you could have done it and you didn't. Don't be mad at anybody else who takes advantage of your community, opportunity, and assets, and you didn't, because we're sitting around partying and protesting and doing whatever, but we're missing the memo on what drives everything, which is money in the economy. You can't be, as my friend Quincy Jones says, an efficient broke prophet. You can be a broke prophet, but you can't be an efficient one, because you can't pay to have staff and infrastructure to amplify your message. You can't hire people to fulfill you. Even a church relies on capitalism. That's a whole other story for another time. And I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean, one of the wealthiest institutions in the world is the Catholic Church. They have their own country, for God's sakes, in Italy, where the Pope hangs out. Back to the story. So if you're in South Central LA, you're 15 minutes from the beach, 15 minutes from downtown, 15 minutes from the ports. 5 minutes from 4 major freeways: the 105, the 405, the 10 freeway, and the 110, circling South Central Los Angeles. This was once a bedroom mainstream community. They moved out, we moved in. We don't realize the gold mine that is there. Every one of these communities were once mainstream middle-class neighborhoods. We moved in without the memo. By the way, these videos are for everybody, but obviously I'm talking about the community I serve, who make $50,000 a year or less, which tend to be black and brown people. But by the way, if you're white, rural, sitting in rural America, and my message is for you, that's another video for another time. But do a whole series on white poverty and how we're going to be there to help you too. Because the reason that some person's running for president and is able to stoke all this fear is not because of racial division or they have a superior message, because they don't. It's because of economic pain of our brothers and sisters in rural America, for whom the economy stepped away from them 50 years ago with the Industrial Revolution, and we weren't smart enough to go in those towns to help them revitalize their economy, and now they're rightly pissed. They're upset that their children are not going to do any better than they're doing, and maybe worse. They're upset and they're frustrated they can't make a middle-class lifestyle with their hands. They're upset that they're dying at a faster rate than anybody else. Yes, that is statistically true. They're upset that they don't see the American dream and they want to take it out on somebody. It has to be somebody's fault. That's exactly what happened before World War II, by the way. This is nowhere near as bad. But that is economic pain that caused racial strife. And folks in the inner cities who are black and brown and who are struggling can't figure out why they can't see opportunity themselves. It must be a setup. It must be rigged. No, we never got the memo. There's a memo about money and free enterprise and ownership and jobs and opportunity and economic prosperity. You can't revitalize the economy without banking, which is why I'm knee-deep in partnership with banks. So capitalism is not evil. It's greed and fraud that's evil. Subprime lending is not evil. It's greed-based subprime, fraud-based subprime lending. All this investor speculation, people are just preying on people who don't get the memo. Money's not evil. It's the love of money that's evil. It's the fraud. It's bad capitalism. It's people who are trying to pimp you in broad daylight. The check cash next to a payday loan lender, next to the rent-to-own store, next to the title lender, next to the liquor store. All preying on your poverty, your low self-esteem, your lack of getting your sense of your own value. And as Dr. King once said, we need to get this memo. When he was in Memphis, Tennessee, this was actually when he was in Montgomery, Alabama. I refuse to finance my own oppression. Don't get mad. Just very quietly say, I refuse to finance my own oppression. And so come to Operation Hope. Go to our programs. Go to the Hope 700 Credit Score Communities Initiative, where we're raising credit scores 120 points in 24 months. Because nothing changes your life more than God or love than moving your credit score 120 points. All right? And set yourself free. The new definition of freedom is self-determination in poverty, which is first and foremost here, before it becomes here, before it becomes here. There's a difference between being broke and being poor. Being broke is economic. Being poor is a disabling frame of mind, a depressed condition of your spirit. And you must vow never, ever, ever to be poor again. Half of all poverty, low self-esteem, and lack of confidence in yourself. Half. The second part of poverty, crappy role models in a crappy environment. So if you hang around 9 broke people, you'll be the 10th. What is our inner cities filled with? Check cashers, payday loan lenders, rent-to-own stores, title lenders, and a bunch of folks who are depressed and didn't get the memo, and that poverty is feeding more poverty. So we save our worst behavior for those we care the most about. Boom. We save our worst behavior for those we care the most about, and we're passing down bad habits from generation to generation out of love. Out of love, we pass down bad habits from generation to generation. So we didn't get the memo, our grandparents didn't get the memo, the great-grandparents didn't get the memo, our mama didn't have the memo, we lived in a housing complex because the mama lived in the housing complex, because the grandmama lived in the housing complex, and we just thought that was normal. It's not normal. And we're going to break the mold right here. I don't want you to get angry. I want you to live well. I want you to join the economy. I want you to buy some real estate. I want you to have a better house than you have a car. If you live in a raggedy toe-up apartment or a raggedy toe-up house that has, when you I said ain't on purpose, haven't paid the property taxes, and you got a BMW in the front on the front lawn, on the driveway, something's wrong with you. You got a Mercedes payments in the parking lot, in the driveway, profiling of the apartment building where your car note is more than your rent payment or your mortgage note. There's something wrong with you. The car is a depreciating asset. It lost value when it left the lot. My wealthy friends drive, compact cars, okay? They're into appreciating assets. And I want you to understand that your neighborhood, your community is an asset. So inner city Washington, D.C., a gold mine. Inner city Anacostia, but it's on the waterfront, folks. Anacostia is on the waterfront. Let me check this out. In the Industrial Revolution, the last place you wanted to be if you had wealth was next to the water on the hill. Why? Because in the Industrial Revolution, smokestacks and all that kind of stuff, you polluted, the industrialists dumped in the water, because the water was disgusting, and smokestacks polluted the air. All right? So the air is disgusting. So where do they put poor people? Next to the water, on the hill. But we live in a clean economy now. This is the technology age, the information age. Guess where the best real estate is in the world, at least in America? Next to the water, on the hill. Where did 10 years ago folks quietly just escort poor people out of and gave them a couple $1,000 stipends and said, don't you want to go someplace else? Anacostia, next to the water, on the hill. Who owns some property on the hill? Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass was not just an abolitionist, he was a businessman. And that's why he went to take over the Freedmen's Bank when Abraham Lincoln was assassinated in 1865, because he realized that after you had physical freedom, you had to have financial freedom, you had to have mental freedom, you had to set yourself free, reset your brain, reset your mindset, get out of a slave mentality, become an ownership mentality, take your life back. And he knew that this bank was a gateway to do it. Unfortunately, the bank had been gamed, the Freedmen's Bank. And when it failed, it was said the failure of this bank did more to set free slaves back than 10 more years of slavery. And here we are. Ferguson, Missouri, Baltimore rioting, all these places are rioting, 500 credit score neighborhoods, and inner city gold mines. So I want you to think about inner city Philly. I want you to think about Detroit. I want you to think about Memphis, Tennessee. I want you to think about certainly South Central LA, and there's 88 cities in LA County, folks. Compton, Long Beach. If you name some cities, I will respond either in kind here or post, and I'll give you my opinion on it. Some of them will pop faster than others. Detroit's already come back, by the way. The question is for who? The downtown's come back. The question is when do the neighborhoods come back? And that has a lot to do with you and me. And it's not going to come back because of big business. It's going to come back because of small enterprises and entrepreneurs and stakeholders and investors like you and me who get the memo. To remove the emotions from your life. Stop operating from the shoulders down, trying to fight your way out of this battle, and operate from the shoulders up, make smart sexy again, and work your way out of this battle. And don't just win the battle, win the war. Don't hit somebody with a brick, hit them with your American Express black card and knock them out. All right, a little lunch, cappuccino, a little lunch espresso. Inner city real estate is a gold mine. I own real estate in South Central LA. In other parts of Los Angeles, I own real estate here in Atlanta. Other places, none of your business. I'm buying some more real estate. You can buy real estate in Atlanta, in Alabama, Mississippi, $15,000, $5,000, $10,000. Buy a little shack. Get your boys or your girlfriends together on the weekends. Go to Home Depot, Lowe's, wherever. And then fix that place up and rent it out. And don't rent it out to your cousin Boo Boo, because cousin Boo Boo's not going to pay you rent and going to give you a house. You're going to evict them. They're going to make you feel guilty for renting to them. Never do business with family. Just give them some money, right? If somebody needs to borrow $5,000 from you and it's a family member, I suggest you consider just giving them $500, because you're going to get in a fight over the $5,000 when they don't want to pay you back. Okay, and if I borrow you some money, you gonna pay me back. That's why folks don't ask me to borrow money unless they see it serious. Or they say my neighbor grew up serious. So rent your place out. Somebody pull the credit score, do a proper check on them, make sure they are a proper credit risk. And rent that, and you're basically creating an income stream for yourself, and they're paying off your mortgage. Whoever rents your house from you that you buy is paying off your mortgage. You still get the mortgage write-off, by the way. They're paying you the mortgage, but you still get the tax benefit because you're the owner. Boom. Hello. And now you're becoming part of the stakeholder mentality, the civil rights movement. Okay, I think this is enough. I hope you've enjoyed this one section on inner city gold, inner city real estate. I'm going to try and take some comments and some questions before I wrap up. Okay. Marvin tries. I can remember when Ferguson was middle class and some parts are still. Yep, exactly. Kathleen Boss, I cracked her up. Mufbo, Matloga from South Africa. Hello. Billy Ingram. I'm a licensed realtor in LA. We need more of us in the business to serve folks in our community. I agree, and it's a very good occupation, by the way. You guys got me sweating. I've been talking so much, I'll give you everything I had. I definitely want to end poverty. Do you? The Bible said, be hot or be cold. If you're lukewarm, I'll spat you out. Translation, even God doesn't like mediocrity. So you can do something, do it with both feet. Do it with all your passion and energy you've got, or don't do it at all. Don't show up half pregnant in life. You got to make sure you come fully loaded and all in. Frank, love the energy. Thank you. Kevin Quincy, homes for $2,000, $15,000 right now. Exactly. Kim Wade, their money to assist build their wealth. Jeff Barrows, do you invest in Boston? I have not invested in Boston. That is a brilliant city to invest in. It was where America was born, really. The revolution started. Derek Smart, buy lots in Flint. Flint, Michigan. I don't know a lot about Flint, but that could be a good investment. By the way, you know an area, you should buy what you know. If you live in Flint, you know the people around Flint, you know people who are working, can rent the apartment that you, or house that you buy, then buy where you know. And don't buy someplace where you're going to have to take a long time to get there because somebody will be robbing you when you sleep. Okay. All right. Well, I will answer all the rest of the questions offline. There's a lot of comments coming through. Anthony Foster, I'm 22 and really need some help rebuilding my credit score. Where do I start? Go to operationhope.org. Go to find one of our Hope Inside locations. Go to our Hope Financial coaches. They're embedded in bank branches, grocery stores, big box retailers, houses of faith, hospitals, government offices. Ask them for assistance. We'll do it for free. Don't let somebody charge you to raise your credit score. We do it for free. Don't let somebody pimp you. These attorneys charging you $5,000 to file bankruptcy, just pimping you. We do it for free, right? There's no reason in the world you can't not find a counselor who at your church or a nonprofit or Operation Hope, Urban League, whatever, who will do this stuff for you for free. You just invest your time and your energy. Shantae Ramos, do you think beach properties are a good investment? Oh my God, yes. If you can find a beach property, lock and load. I'll buy it for me myself. There's some risk to beach properties as you see what's going on in Florida, but beach properties are a really, at the right place, brilliant investment. What about Memphis, Tennessee? I've already said I thought Memphis is a very good investment, but it's going to take a while for it to come back. You need to raise the income level up in Memphis, which I'm working on. Kathleen Boston, I'm a novice real estate investor in Broward County. I need to do this. With both feet. How about Fort Lauderdale, Miami? Yeah. Any place in Florida, I think, is a decent investment. But again, you have to have patience. You got to do your market research. It depends on the location, all that kind of stuff. But they aren't growing any more land, ladies and gentlemen. They are not growing any more land. It meant, look, I may not be right, but I dang sure not wrong. Buy, sit, and hold. When I buy property, I try not to sell it. And you can always get a loan if things get tough to get a loan or sell property, right? You can't sell your tennis shoe collection. You can't sell your that raggedy fake gold that you bought. The champagne bottle you got at the club last Friday night. You spent $1,000 for that champagne. Nobody's buying that, all right? Nobody's buying that car that you bought for $100,000. Maybe somebody will pay half for it. Again, when you do stuff like that, you're flossing. Do it when you get with money you can afford to lose. I'm talking about you making a first investment in your life and being serious about taking your life back. And you can't blame somebody else when your life's not working if you're not doing the fundamentals. I'm trying to give you the fundamentals. Jennifer Hayes, where do I start in trying to buy property in Detroit? Go to the Detroit Land Bank, send a letter to the mayor, tell Mayor Duggan I sent you. Go to Ryan Mack, ryan.mack, ryan.mack at operationhope.org, who runs Detroit for me. I have a Hope Inside at the Northwest Activity Center, a Hope Inside with the Fifth Third Bank, with the Detroit Medical Center. I'm knee deep in Detroit and going further, the Skillman Foundation. So we can help you in Detroit. And there's a page called Detroit Uplift. Go like that page and follow it. All right, so I hope this has been helpful. Love you much. You never want to be the old guy in the club. So before you kick me out, I'm going to leave. We'll continue this series later. If you want me to talk about a topic, put it in the comments here or put a guest post. I do all the comments myself on this page. Others respond to messages. I don't have time for that. But if you see a comment on this page, it's from me. If you want me to talk about something, I will. This is the Civil Rights Movement, Unbossed, coming you straight and no chaser. Straight and no chaser, live with no agenda but your uplift. I'm nonpartisan. I'm not from the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. I'm from the Get It Done Party. I've actually been an advisor to Republican and Democratic presidents. And so I'm literally unbiased and coming to you with only your uplift in mind. Go to operationhope.org and take your life back. Join the 700 Credit Score Community Clubs. They are coming to a neighborhood near you. And I love you. The only thing I'm selling today is love. Peace and light.